Hello,
Okay.
everybody. Welcome to Chai with Us podcast. This is episode number 5. I am Erika, the personal developer, and
I am Ivana from okoloizabells, and today I'm drinking a rooibos tea. Actually, no, it's not a rooibos, it's a rosehip tea. I literally drink this tea almost during every episode, and I just now discovered that, hey, it comes with little messages.
oh, can you
So the
read the message?
message, yes, I want to share the message. So the message says, share true moments with a cup of tea. And I love it because it really just segues into what we're doing here today. We're sharing true moments while we have a cup of tea.
Yeah, that's so cool. So I'm drinking vanilla and caramel tea. You know that I love this one. It's so
Mm-hmm.
cozy and sweet, and I just love how good we do this tea part. At least this episode we remembered. Like, okay, let's start and ask about the tea.
It's true.
Mhm. Okay, so today is all about healing your heart, all about love and relationships, all kind of relationships. Where do
Yes.
you want to start?
So when this goes towards the heart chakra, which is exactly where your heart is, and a lot of times when we have a blockage there, we are either jealous, we might have a fear of intimacy, we feel isolated, and we have an inability to forgive people. And a lot of times we don't even realize it that that's where the blockage is. But I sometimes have a fear of intimacy because you have to show who you really are, right? So you have to be authentic. And a lot of times maybe I am wearing a mask of oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm this. And so then I'm afraid that if I meet my a mate, that they're going to find out that it's all not true. And so that, I
Mhm.
think that's where the fear of intimacy comes from.
Yeah. Yes, and we are so scared of rejection, right?
Mhm.
A lot of it
Mhm.
comes from, okay, what if this person finds out who I am, like on the inside? I'm messed up, like, and and
Yeah.
and we are scared that these people may find out who we really are.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, but we are all messed up. It's not like we are the only. I think that this is, I love this sentence that says, you are not that special,
Oh, okay.
because sometimes we think that it's all like we are so different, we are so messed up, we are so traumatized. And yes, we are, but like we are not the only people in the
Mhm.
world like this.
Mhm.
Like your
Mhm.
partner will probably be messed up as well, because messed
Mhm.
up people attract messed up people. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, this is very juicy. How
Yes.
do you how would you say that people could heal their hearts so they are not afraid of
Okay.
rejection? You know?
So some simple things you can do, obviously going back to yoga because we both are yoga practitioners.
Yep.
Cobra pose, camel pose, fish, cat pose, upward facing dog are just some of the yoga poses that specifically work on your heart chakra.
Hmm.
You can also really think back to what happened when you're 3.5 years old to 7 years old, because that's when this event that maybe might have traumatized you would have happened. So
Hmm.
just maybe take some time to journal about that and reflect on what happened when you were 3.5 to 7. For me, that's the exact time that I moved to Germany. So I was living in Bosnia, having really good family relationships, being surrounded by a loving family, and all of a sudden this war happened, and I was moved into a whole nother environment where I didn't understand the language. I was crying all the time. I wasn't with my dad. It was just me and my mom, and we were
Hmm.
living at my aunt's. So it was a very traumatic time period that happened to me, and maybe that's really what helped had me close my heart, because I was afraid as a child. and
Hmm.
and I didn't understand what was happening around. When you're so young, you don't understand what's happening around you. But the last couple of years I've been journaling a lot about this, and that has really helped me.
Yeah, I totally agree what you were saying. It is for in order for you to heal, you need to know where's this stuff coming from, because and most of it's coming from childhood. Um, and I totally agree with you. When I was young, a lot of bonds and a lot of I trusted very important people. I trusted caregivers. I trusted very important people that were not there for me.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when I grew up and became an adult, So I was all of a sudden this person with trust issues and fear of
Mhm.
abandonment because that's
Mhm.
all I knew. And
Yeah.
we really need to focus on that. And the other day I told you a story that had nothing to do with anything. It was just about a friend that wasn't really a friend, and I was trying to dig deeper and dig deeper.
Mhm.
And all
Mhm.
of a sudden I just realized that it was like my fear of
Mhm.
abandonment all over again. It
Mhm.
just rose, and it was like, oh, hello, I'm here. And I had to remind myself that I'm not that little girl anymore.
Yes.
And like, okay, people may abandon you, yes or no, but life does not revolve around this. There's so much
Mhm.
more to this life.
Mhm.
But of course, it was a process. I had to go
Yeah.
back to this situation and see where what happened. Why am
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
like this? I think first you should ask yourself, like, what scares me the most? Like, why
Yes.
is my heart so closed? What am I
Mhm.
afraid of? And just
Mhm.
face this thing in the eye and look
Yeah.
for the exact moment when it happened. When did this happen? How was it? How did you feel? And
Mhm.
very important, just try to try to look for the decision you made at this moment. Because I
Mhm.
remember saying to myself, I won't trust anyone else. I won't share my secrets with anyone else because people will let other people know.
Mhm.
So many decisions I have made unconsciously because I was just a
Mhm.
kid, and we still make to this day. So look for that decision you made and make a new one.
Mhm.
I think
You
that's a
can
good start.
also say, I nurture my inner child and I'm wanted and loved. And
Hmm.
repeat that every day until you believe it. You know, there's something we talked about this. It's very powerful when you say these things out loud because you hear them back. So
Yes.
maybe Erica always talks about doing mirror work. Maybe say these things in front of a mirror until you
Hmm.
actually believe it.
Yeah.
When I was going through my yoga teacher training, we had to find a partner. We had to sit across from each other, and we were not allowed to say anything. We just had to stare into each other's eyes for like a minute. And that felt like an eternity, just staring into each other's eyes without saying anything. But it was so powerful, like the connection. It's almost like I knew her without knowing even her name. And it was
Hmm.
so intimate and powerful and changing too. And she always says that she always remembers me because she'll never forget that. Like, so there's a way of connecting with people without even having to say something.
Yeah. And that is so deep. That's very scary. That's very
Yes,
scary.
it is. It is because you can't hide. You know, they say the eyes are the windows of the soul. I had a taxi driver once ask me if I wear glasses so that people can't see what my soul is, that I'm like protecting it. And that was such a like, wow, here's the
Oh,
universe sending me a message. Like, is that why we wear glasses? To protect people from looking into our soul? What do you think about that?
whoa. I think that maybe, sometimes, maybe, yes. Sometimes I wear sunglasses because I don't want to be bothered. Yes, it's
Mhm.
true. It's true. Sometimes we hide, but we hide behind glasses, we hide behind
Mhm.
masks,
Mhm.
uh, we hide behind this, I don't know, these characters that we make, that we
Yeah.
invent. I
Mhm.
am like
Mhm.
this. I am this strong woman. I don't need anyone. I can deal with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I love it when
Mhm.
we receive like this
Something to
signs
think
from
about. I
nowhere.
feel like you're going to journal about this and tell us more in the next episode.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. So affirmations, I totally agree that they are very, very, very important. I am going to share with you these four sentences that are very healing. I hope I say this right. Oponopono. Do you know
Yes.
anything about this?
Yes,
I
I do.
love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you.
Yes. You did it
You-
right. Yay.
Yes.
That was right.
So,
That's exactly what
do
they are.
you realize the power of these words? You can say
Mhm.
this to yourself, or you can visualize other people that you need
Mhm.
to work your relationship with, that you probably need to forgive, that you
Mhm.
probably need to let go. Simple. I love you.
Yeah.
Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you.
I had this, and I'm okay with to share this. I had this person that hurt me while we were working together, and she tried that method. Like she came back and she said it, and at the moment, I just wasn't ready to forgive her, and
Hmm.
that's okay. Like I needed more time to process what happened,
Yeah.
and over time, like now we're okay, and we've both forgiven each other for what has happened. But
Yes.
like at the time when she was asking, I just wasn't ready, and I just needed to process some things
Hmm.
before doing that, because yeah, those are very powerful sentences to say to somebody or
Yes.
to yourself.
Yes, yes. And when I say those words, I mean, you can just use them as affirmations. You can meditate on it, not necessarily say it to somebody, because
Mhm.
sometimes you are right, sometimes we are not ready. And sometimes I had to do this healing process with someone who died.
Mm.
So I would have to visualize the person and
Mhm.
repeat the words.
Mhm.
So, I mean, everything we say here, I think they're guidance, and then you need to find your own way.
Mhm.
And of
Mhm.
course, always follow your rhythm.
Mhm.
It's not like it's better for you to follow your rhythm than to say, okay, I forgave that person. And then you didn't. I mean, it's not about
Exactly.
saying, it's about feeling.
Mhm.
Unless you really feel this in your heart and like deep down, it's not going to work. So baby steps. I feel a little bit better today, tomorrow, and after tomorrow. It may take
Mhm.
years, who knows? But
Mhm.
yeah, it's
And it's really good here also to do some self care and establish clear boundaries. This is what we talked about in one of our past podcasts about how important it is
yes,
to have boundaries, to tell people what our boundaries are, because they don't know. They're not. Some of us in relationships think that our partner's a mind reader, right? Like, oh, he should have known to do that. Didn't he get the SOS? Like, but they're
yes,
not. We have to tell people what we want from them, and have established clear boundaries with them so
yeah,
that we're both on the same page.
yeah. But to get there, you need to come to a place where you are able to love yourself
Yes.
and you stand in your shoes and you, because if you don't go to that place, I mean, what kind of boundaries can you can you
Mhm.
you know you can, for example, you can set boundaries that you think are okay or that you have learned from other people, but what about your personal boundaries? Like, do you know what are your personal boundaries? Because,
Mhm.
for example, let me give you a very simple a simple example. Let's say people like to play around with belts and, oh, this is so funny, you know,
What?
like,
Is this a thing?
imagine imagine that that's a thing. For example, imagine that
Okay.
you had a belt. You know, people always make fun of like sado maso stuff, yeah,
Okay.
and they're playing with belts. Some
This is the
people
first
think,
time I'm hearing this. Like, what?
and
No, I don't
pretending
know
that,
this.
just let's pretend that the belt is like a whip. Okay,
Okay.
this wasn't supposed
Okay.
to be funny, but all of a sudden it sounds so freaking weird. But okay, okay, just pretend that people are playing with the belt and pretending that this is a whip.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a whip, and I'm pretending to spank you. Yeah. God. Okay, just so this is funny for you, yeah?
Yes.
For some people, it's not funny
I know what you mean.
because the belt symbolizes something
Yeah.
very harmful.
Mhm.
So, are you going to pretend this is funny for you? Or are you going to say, listen, this triggers me. It's
Mhm.
not funny for me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that kind of boundaries, you have to go deep,
Mhm.
because otherwise you will notice some things, you feel
Mhm.
uncomfortable, you don't know what's happening, you're gonna move away from the person
Mhm.
slowly because you cannot take certain behaviors, and you didn't even give the chance to the other person
Mhm.
to make it
But
right.
sometimes we don't know what is triggering us until it actually triggers us, right? Like sometimes we
Hmm.
don't even know that we don't like, and I know where you're going with this, like maybe getting spanked with a belt.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll trigger that, but we don't even know that it's triggering that when it's happening in that moment, unless
Yeah.
you're a person that is very self-reflective and can ask
Mm-hmm.
yourself, like, why do I feel this way right now?
Yeah.
And then tie it to your childhood, and or whenever it happened that somebody, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
beat you with a belt or whatever. Like, so
Yeah.
yes.
And the strength relies on, okay, I was triggered. Okay,
Mhm.
is this acceptable? Am I working on it so I'm not triggered by this? Or am I gonna
Mhm.
say this is a boundary and this is not okay for me?
Mhm.
So if
And maybe
you
it's scary because then you have to maybe explain to the other person why you were
Mhm.
triggered, and that will require intimacy, right? Like, because then you
Right.
have to be more open about what is bothering you and what's stuck
Yeah.
there.
That's the tough part about being
Yeah,
intimate.
that was
Sometimes
a
you
very good
have to
example.
go.
I'm sorry I was laughing, but
No, but that's cool.
that's
But
a
the
good
fact that you
example.
were laughing just proved the point. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
yeah, for some people that's totally fine. Ha ha ha. We all and this is an example goes for
Mhm.
everything in your life.
Mhm.
So boundaries, we all know the basic stuff, alarm bells and whatever. But some of
Mhm.
us have very specific boundaries, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, and the of course we're gonna get triggered and it's gonna be a surprise because whoa, where does this come from? But
Mhm.
what you do about it, that's why you have to do this work to heal your heart and to heal yourself, so you are
I agree.
so you feel safe when you are stronger when you're triggered and when things happen to you.
Mhm. That's very good. I like that.
Thank you. So
You can also use essential oils aside from practicing self-care, and we talked about the yoga poses. You can also use these essential oils, rose, jasmine, and bergamot, and those are supposed to help you heal your heart chakra. So you can do all these physical things, but at the end of the day, you also have to do what Erica was talking about, self-reflection and self-care.
yeah. Can you just talk a little bit more about oils? Because I like the idea of using it, but I don't know
Hmm.
how. And I've
Okay,
heard that some
sure.
people place it here. Can you speak a little bit about this?
Sure. So you can place it, most people place it on their wrist because that's where you smell it, and you just
Mhm.
use a little bit because they're very strong. But you can also use these oils in a bath, like at night when you just want to relax, like you put in a couple of lavender oils.
Okay.
And we talk always about balancing your energy. So the way that you do that is you put some Epsom salt, maybe a little bit of the lavender essential oil, and just have a bath, and that will
Mhm.
help you right before going to bed because lavender is very soothing.
Oh,
But you're right, you can also put it right here, wherever you feel comfortable putting it. So most people put it on their wrist because then they can smell it, and maybe a little bit behind your ears.
okay. Thanks. That
I
sounds really
also
good.
don't use a lot of oils because I just never have, but I
Uh-huh.
love lavender, and I love like the lavender spray you can buy and spray your pillowcase with it.
Oh, okay. The bath thing just it looks like
Yes,
self-care in a sentence,
it is.
Like,
And you have a bathtub, so you can use
yeah,
it.
but I can add some wine to it. A glass of wine in my bathtub with
All
my
about play
oils.
some soothing music. Yeah, why not?
Yes,
Why
I
not?
see it. I'm
It's your
gonna start
self-care.
to. Thank you.
I mean, you can't
Okay.
drink tea all the time.
No, no. I have a confession. I have a confession to make.
What is the confession? That we should have named this podcast Coffee with Us?
No, I was drinking beer before this.
Okay. Ooh,
Non-alcoholic. I'm boring, guys.
yeah.
But I was like, oh, no, I have to drink tea. I'm actually enjoying it right now, but I was like, I'm drinking a beer. This doesn't make any sense.
Beer with us. I don't know. That doesn't sound so catchy.
No, it doesn't sound so catchy. Okay, so I want to go back a little bit because I think we gave really, really, really good advice, but I would like to go like to the root of things,
Okay.
like how do you heal? Like
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? Where do you start? And I think that a good way to start healing is with acceptance
Mm-hmm.
and forgiveness.
Mhm.
So, acceptance means that I accept what happened. And some of
Mhm.
us, we really struggle with this because we have been through stuff that they were not fair. It wasn't
Mhm.
cool. It was not
Mhm.
fair. They were wrong, right?
Right.
And it's hard to accept. But the thing
Mhm.
is, if we don't accept it, meaning, okay, this happened to me, now what? It's gonna be tough because you're gonna keep going into the same situations and
Mhm.
replying these situations, and trying to change what happened in the past. This may
Mhm.
sound very weird, but there's something in our unconscious that wants to solve problems.
Yes.
So if you don't accept that that happened and
Mhm.
now move on, your brain is going to look for situations to place you in places
Mhm.
where you can actually sort the situations out.
Mhm. That's a very good point.
Yeah,
Yeah, every time I go to Amma's ashram, things that I'm trying to avoid in other places happen there. And it's even harder because there you're living and working with the same people. So you can't run away from the issue. And I had this thing happen where a brahmachari slapped me on the butt. And a brahmachari is a priest that lives in an ashram. So it was very uncomfortable, but also I had to go back to what was happening in that situation. So I was
yes,
trying to charge my phone, it wasn't working. He brought me several extension cords, and I put my fingers through one of the extension cords that could have been electrocuted, and then I started laughing. The other two people that were there were laughing, and he hit me on the butt. And so it wasn't in the sexual sense at all. It was just like somebody that would like hit a kid on the butt of like, quit being so funny. Like you could have almost died. Like you could have been electrocuted. Like, so there's lots of
yeah,
excitement happening there, and he just did it. But at first, like for me, I was like, oh my God, like he's a priest. This is so uncomfortable. Like he shouldn't have done this. And I like spent all week thinking about what to do because I didn't want him to get in trouble. Like he's a person that is is very nice to people and is such a good person. So I didn't want him to be in trouble for what happened and how people would have interpreted that. But I confronted him. Like it took me a whole week. And then I just went up to him and I said, I'm not mad at you. It's okay, but I don't want you to ever do that again.
okay,
So that took for me like standing up for something, whichever way it meant. I don't care how it was meant,
hmm,
but I had to face it. So here's something I couldn't run away from because I saw this person every day. And
yes,
I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that I spoke up in that situation.
yeah,
Because a
yeah,
lot of times I think women are, I don't want to use the word sexually assaulted, but like, someone brushes up against your boob while they're trying to hit the elevator button and, it's innocent, but it's not, right? Like they did
hmm,
it on purpose.
yeah.
So women especially are always, I think, have to be cognizant of their personal space.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so when this kind of situation happens, it's so confusing. And then I think that's when you have to go back to what we spoke on the last in the last episode about trusting your gut
Mhm.
feeling
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
like it's not like you were crazy. Some
Right.
like it happened. Yeah.
Right, because then I was asking myself, well, would he have done that to an Indian woman? And no, he would not. You know what I mean? So then why is it
Mm-hmm.
okay to do it to a foreign woman? It's
Mm-hmm.
not. And that's the
Totally.
main reason why I went to talk to him to say that, listen, I'm not mad. I just don't want you to do that again. And he said, okay, like it wasn't. And now we're okay, like it's fine. But also,
Yeah.
it was the situation. There was lots of excitement, lots of laughter. I almost could have died, but I didn't. So,
Always
yeah, it
good.
was,
Always good
everything
to
is
be
fine.
alive.
Now I can laugh about it, but that entire
Yes.
week when I was like trying to process it, I wasn't laughing. And I
Yeah.
had to be very careful with the people that I talked to about it because I didn't want this to explode and be a thing. So I had to be
Mm-hmm.
very careful about the people that I discussed it with and sought their advice on what to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's an intense story.
It was intense, right? Like
Yeah.
now you feel a little bit, but you can imagine, like imagine going to an ashram, there's all these
Yes.
brahmacharis and somebody does that. Like if
Yeah.
you take that out of like the context of what really happened, that's not appropriate, it's not okay. And that's why I feel like I had to go through that to recognize what all these women that are actually abused by gurus, right? Like we're seeing the fall of the guru right now happening. All these
Yes.
famous like Bikram, Yogi Bhajan, now that they're talking about it, all these gurus where people were going to like seek healing and help, abuse these women, and it's not okay.
No, it's not okay. And I don't know. I can only imagine the pain and what is it, because you must feel that something is wrong with you, that you
Hmm.
somehow caused it.
Hmm.
Uh,
And then when you're in an ashram, not just that, you're isolated. So you don't know who you can talk to. You don't know who's going to spread it. And then the people
mm,
will turn against you. Like there's, Swami Rama, there's this big expose of what happened with him. And when this woman had to escape her city because people were harassing her from the ashram where she was. And so she
mhm.
had to like escape to, I think she went to Texas, somewhere else, and I don't know if she changed her name, but people like his followers did not believe her,
Yeah,
and they traumatized, they harassed her even more. So it's very sad to see what happens in these communities. I'm not saying that all communities that it happens,
yeah,
but you have to be very careful with where you are, and always be cognizant of what's happening.
yeah. And we need to figure out that these communities are communities where human people are there. So if
Exactly,
we are
yes.
human, good things and bad things can happen. It's not
Mhm.
like we are going somewhere and everything is gonna, yes, everything is gonna be okay, or maybe not. And we have to
Mhm.
realize that it's not because we are in a spiritual environment that
Exactly.
everything's
Exactly.
gonna be, that everybody's gonna be a saint. Because
Mhm.
I mean, they're human, they're normal people with needs, with crazy stuff, good stuff, bad stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think that these women can heal from this type of trauma?
It is so
Because
hard. I really don't even know, because not only did this person do this to you, but everyone is saying that you're a liar and they don't believe you. And the people
Mhm.
that you used to be the closest friends with at an ashram, because you get to be so close to the people that you're living with, have rejected you and they're calling you a liar. And so I think it's extremely difficult for these women. I think first of all, their number one thing is safety, right? They need to be safe in the surroundings that they are,
Mhm.
and I think it's going to take a lot of time for them to heal from this. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, for me, it was such a minor thing that happened, but I had to
Yes.
confront him, and I could have let it go. You know what I mean, and not confronted him. But that would not have been true to me, because I would have carried that on later, and then I would have been thinking about it, and
Mhm.
would, you know what I mean? Because what if he does it to somebody else, right? Like
Or what
so.
if he does it again?
Right,
I mean,
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
So I think it's very difficult. There's this other thing too that a woman shared with me while I was in an ashram. She was sexually abused while she was like alone in the woods meditating, and so now she's afraid to go anywhere else to be by herself, because this happened when she was very young. And to me that is so sad that women cannot feel safe in nature to go meditate, because for me the most powerful meditations that I've had is when I've been alone in the woods meditating by myself. But
Mhm.
then you always have to have your guard on, like as a woman I think you always have to be like a little bit more, I don't know what the
Cautious.
word, cautious. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a process. And you mentioned about forgiveness, and I love that book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Mhm.
It's a very good book. She also talks about her story, which is very powerful, because she also was raped when she was a child, and she carried the trauma with her. She just didn't know it. But she said her main things were therapy, like a really good therapist and a punching bag, because she needed to get that out, because she couldn't do that as a child. But that book is excellent. I highly
Yeah.
recommend it to anyone that is on their healing journey. I think it's
Mhm.
called You Can Heal. Is it How You Can Heal, or You Can Heal Your Life?
I think that it's You Can Heal Your Life, because they have a lot of
Yes.
projects called that way. I think
Yeah.
that's You Can Heal Your heart,
Yeah. And
your
she
life. No, your
she
life.
started Hay Publications, Hay Book Publications, and it's all
Yeah.
about spiritual books. And she used to give these talks to people that were diagnosed with AIDS. And so she lived to be about 90. She recently died, but she had a very
Mhm.
fascinating journey. And I
Yeah.
highly recommend that book if you're interested in starting, because I had to work through it. Like it asks you, who are you mad at, or who are you upset with? I had to write it out, and I feel like just
Mhm.
now is when it's happening. And I read that book 2 years ago, so it's a
Yes.
slow process. Like it's not but you just read this one thing, all of a sudden you're healed. No, healing is a
No.
lifetime thing that you're going to be doing.
Yes, and healing is work. Is not something
Yes,
that is mental. Healing is very emotional.
yes.
So, I mean, when you start the process, just get ready for some tears or a lot of tears, like cries out loud,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
it's a process, as you said. I think that forgiveness is a big one, also because from what I've heard, for me, it was very powerful, and from
mhm,
what I've heard from other people, it was very powerful as well, because it
mhm,
was their way and my way to let it
mhm,
go.
mhm.
Just want to make it very clear that forgiveness is not saying that was okay, is
Exactly.
not saying, oh, it was my fault.
Mhm,
Forgiveness is a way of giving you freedom and basically to walk, to just keep going with your life. Because you know what? I realized that after decades, I was still carrying that bag. That it's like, I
mhm,
mean, I
mhm.
didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
So this person did me wrong, and I'm holding
Mhm,
on to it, going around
mhm,
carrying this bag,
mhm.
ruining my own happiness. I mean, there's no point. So when you forgive, you just basically let go. And forgiveness is very hard. Advices that I have for that: meditation,
Yes.
journaling, visualizing the person while you are
Mhm,
meditating and saying,
mhm.
I forgive you over and over until you feel it's true. There's a very beautiful ritual we always do in Pulchati. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to mention that, the fire puja.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Explain it to us because you did
So
it.
a fire puja is where you have a fire, and most of the times it's done by priests, but it can be done by the head of the ashram as well. And you're chanting a mantra while you're doing it, and you're asking Agni, the god of fire, the fire element, to take this away, like any kind of pain that you felt or one thing that you're holding on to. Write it on a piece of paper, and after we're done chanting this mantra that we chant, we burn the piece of paper in it. And what was so beautiful is I was able to really burn away a lot of things because I worked there. But just doing it once also felt very powerful to write this. Maybe you write fear on a piece of paper, roll it up, and burn it into the fire and let it go.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's
there's
so
also
powerful.
another process that you can do as well that I really like. I worked at the bereavement center with young kids that had lost a parent. And in May, we blow up these balloons and we write a message to the person that has passed away, and we release the balloon.
That's so
That
good.
was very powerful.
Yeah, that is so good. I think that it's also important, like, to make peace with your past,
Yes.
whatever that was. I mean, when we talk about forgiveness, sometimes we need to forgive ourselves as well, because
Mhm.
it isn't cool when you realize that you have been wasting 10 years of your life when you could have done this personal growth program before, or when
Mhm.
you realize that you were, I don't know, maybe you were aggressive with other people because other people have been aggressive to you, and
Mhm.
it's tough. Yeah, and you think about, it's interesting, this healing process, because you learn more and more. And what
Exactly.
happens
Yes.
to me is, like, I forgave that person, yeah, and I'm cool, and then I remember, oh, I need to forgive this person for the other thing, and then I'm like, oh, I feel bad because, like, 5 years ago I did this thing, and all of these things come to you, and you're like, this
It's
thing is
true.
never going to finish. But the good thing is, like, you have the tools, and everything is going to be
Exactly.
smoother. Instead of, suffering for 5 years, maybe in a week you worked on it
Mhm.
and you sort it out.
Yeah.
Lisa Nichols, she has a very good exercise.
Oh
I've
yes.
never worked with that. And she
Mhm.
basically is like looking in the mirror and, like, say what you forgive yourself for. I forgive myself for not being honest with myself. I forgive myself for not speaking up. I forgive myself for whatever you need to forgive yourself for. You need to
Mhm.
do this. You cannot, I mean, of course, you can survive with these things in your heart, but your life cannot be as amazing as it would be
Mhm.
if you
Mhm.
carry these things. If you want to be in life, and come from a place of love, you need to let go and get rid of these things. And one of
It's
the
true.
processes is to forgive yourself.
Yes.
Everyone
There's
deserves a
another
second
thing.
chance.
There's another thing I forgot to mention too, which you loved, I think. At Pulchati, we also take a ritual bath. So we chant
Mhm.
Om Gangamai to the goddess before we go into the water. And
Yeah.
then when we go into the water, we take 3 dips. So it's like almost like a baptism, and you let go
Yeah.
of things that are bothering you. And for me, I was always being the outsider, right? So one time I let go of this, like, I'm tired of being the outsider. And the next week, I was sent 4 Bosnian women that came to my ashram. And Bosnian people typically don't go to India, and they sure don't come to
Aw.
the ashram where we went. And
Mhm.
so for the first time, I was able to sing a Bosnian song with them when we had the fires, the
Oh,
campfire. So that was really nice. So what I gave away to the element of water, it was like washing it away. And the next week, the universe sent me 4 people to
mhm.
reaffirm that it's okay to be Bosnian. It's okay to like sing Bosnian songs, and it's okay to be who you are. But
Yeah.
sometimes we need to see people that are like us, right, to feel accepted.
Yes, it's true. It's true. We need to see examples. That's why representation matters, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes we really need to see that there are other people like us. It's only human.
Hmm.
Go see the belonging episode.
Yes. One thing I also really want to say is that love is not control. It's
Oh,
freedom to choose. So anything that is controlling is not love. And that took me a long time to figure out. But maybe when because you learn love from your immediate family, and maybe if they did not have the best examples towards each other, that's what you start to believe. So again, this is another process of finding out, like, what does love mean to you, and how does that evolve?
mhm. I am going to link a blog post that I wrote on this.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, how to love when you didn't have the good examples. You didn't have best,
Yep.
like, it's hard to know this kind of stuff if you all you had was soap
Right.
operas.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
Yeah,
Another thing that I
it's true.
want to mention is, besides the control, love does not hurt. Okay, people.
Exactly.
Love
Yes.
does not hurt. People, yes, do hurt. I can
Mm-hmm.
hurt you and you can hurt me, but love is not going to hurt anybody. So these kind of sentences that we have in our head are
Mm-hmm.
um, are marking the behavior that we're going to have with other people and
Mm-hmm.
with ourselves. So if we believe that love hurts, maybe your partner can hurt you over and over because love hurts. It is what it is.
Exactly.
I sound very literal, and it looks like when I heard this kind of stuff before, I was thinking like, I'm not dumb, right? I am not dumb. But guys, our our unconscious mind sometimes. Do you know what I mean,
I'm
guys?
gonna wait until you finish.
Because you may hear this and you may, I know because I've been through all of that, and I'm not scared to say everything that came through my mind. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not stupid. Urgh. I know that's like, right? Sometimes we're like, we know everything. No, we don't know everything. This kind
Exactly.
of stuff that we say, this kind of stuff that we hear on television, the kind of movies that we see, everything, all of this is messing up with your head,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Mm-hmm.
when you are not secure in yourself, and especially when you didn't have examples. You're going to pick up on anything you can to just try to be normal. And
Right.
so I would really consider all these beliefs that we have on love. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
does love mean to you? What does love do? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Does it hurt? Going back to
Mm-hmm.
the childhood thing, what did your parents told you about love?
Exactly. Or what did they show you instead of
What they
told you? What
show
what did you
you?
see?
Okay,
Exactly. How
so
did they talk to each other?
yeah, so do you want to know what I learned? That the good love, it's only for television and soap operas.
Oh.
I didn't believe it existed, really tried,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't believe. You know what I mean? I was like, oh yes, I believe
Yeah.
it. I didn't. I didn't. Like, my mind wasn't going
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
I got so heated with this subject. I
No,
love
it's
it.
true. It's true. If you haven't had good examples, it's very difficult to know what it is. But I love that you said it doesn't hurt. That's very true. So if you were hurt by a partner, maybe that wasn't love. Uh, you love from like your capacity, I think, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. And sometimes you're with people that just aren't even realizing that they're not capable of loving you the way that you should be loved, because
Yeah.
maybe they don't ask those questions, or who knows? We
Yeah,
never really know what's going on in another person's mind, right? And what trauma they're going through.
true. It's true. Yeah, totally agree.
But love is not just like we said, it's not just about relationships. It's also with your friends. Like, how do you let your friends treat you? We talked about that in another podcast when we mentioned boundaries. So
Yeah.
love is all around you. It's not just your parents and your partner, but it's also with friends and acquaintances. And, I think I've really tried to make it my mission that I want to be surrounded by loving people. And so if I meet somebody that, a friend that's not, it's always like blowing me off, well, that's not love. And I have no time for that. Now is the
Mhm.
time to focus on self-healing and work through this process. And yeah.
Yeah, it's so good that you mentioned that because um, as soon as you start healing your heart, you're going to notice that different people will start coming into your life
Yes.
because you have a
Mhm.
different vibe to you and you are not putting up with all this wool, you know?
It's
So,
kind of how we met. Like, we
yeah,
met when we were both going through the healing
yeah,
process, and now we've become friends. And you
yes.
see that, you start to see that your circle of friends starts to change.
Yes, it's true. It starts to change. It's like I look at the people I have in my life right now, and they're so different from like 6 years ago. They're so different. Like there's no comparison. And I am very different as well. So I
Exactly.
had, okay, I take my responsibility because it was not like I was so cool and everybody was horrible. No,
Yeah.
I I wasn't helping.
Well, I'm excited to read your blog post.
Yes, yes. I'm gonna put it on Tuesday. It's gonna be there.
Mhm. Yes, I'm looking forward
Just
to it. Was there anything else that we wanted to add before we go?
yes, it goes with what you said. I wanted to tell people like try to be intentional in your
Mhm.
relationships.
Mhm.
Like what do you I don't mean like set rules for every relationships, but like try to be intentional. Try to be not like I want this from that person, but I want love. I want understanding. I want somebody that's there for me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Be
Yes.
intentional. Think about what you want to receive from people and be drawn to those kind of people. And when you see that, that person is not really
Mhm.
there, if that person is for a season or for a reason,
Yes.
as we spoke on the
Yes.
other episode, so just let them go,
Mhm.
and you're going to see that as you start this healing process, you're going to be stronger and stronger, and you're going to identify this, in a more fastest way, and you're gonna know.
Mhm.
But for now, just rationalize it for real and just think about what you want from all of your relationships. When I was single, I had in my mind 3 words that I wanted.
Oh, what are the
You
three
know,
words?
I wanted honesty, I
Yes.
wanted it to be reciprocate, and I wanted
Mhm.
integrity.
I
And
like, oh, integrity.
every
That is
time,
such a good word.
that's so important in my
Can
life.
you explain what integrity means?
It means like you do what you say,
Exactly.
you say what you do, you
Mhm.
are
Yes.
you are the thing you say you are.
Yes. Which means that you're not wearing a mask.
You're not wearing a mask, you are doing whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
It's your flaws, it is what it is, but I
Mhm.
know what is it. Because
Yes.
it's, you know, I give you space to grow, there's no problem, but I
Yes.
know that you have some integrity in your life.
I
So
like that.
when I was meeting people, I was looking for these three. If I didn't see it, I'm sorry. Like I can't have it because and
Because you
seriously,
need to have
like
trust. I think if
yeah,
you have integrity, you is a person that you can trust.
exactly. It's a person that you can trust. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't looking for these people, for a person like this and just chilling. No, 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 no. I was working on myself to have
Mhm.
integrity and to be honest
Yeah.
and speak my truth and all that.
Yes.
So yeah, be intentional
Mhm.
because it's easier, especially when you are used to these patterns and you don't think, you just jump
Mogu
into a
mama sapti chat
relationship.
sačkaj. Sorry.
That's okay. So especially when you have these patterns that you look for the wrong people all the time, it's good for you to have this. You just do. you can do the same as I did. Just find three
Mm-hmm.
words. Okay, so when you find the pattern, you are not going to go towards the pattern because you already know that it's not for you. So you're going to go
Mm-hmm.
for the three words. Try it out. It worked for
I like
me.
that.
I
I
think I
think for
think it
me,
worked for me.
yeah, I think for me, the main word would be authenticity because it
Okay.
goes towards everything. Like a person that's authentic, is
Mhm.
honest, is truthful, has integrity, and they're not pretending to be something that they're not.
Yeah. So if you meet someone and they don't go towards authenticity, you already know what to do. Because sometimes
Bye bye.
people, I was like, what? No, I don't want to go. Because what was I going to say?
Sorry.
Because no, it's okay, it's okay, it's cool. Sometimes when we're looking to meet people, we're dating and stuff, we think, oh, it's bad luck. I always no. The thing is, it's not about meeting the wrong people all the
Mama.
time.
Okay, Mama.
I am not going to cut this part because
That's
it's
funny,
so
Rata.
good. Hi, Mama. It was like the cutest thing I saw today. It was so
Getting attacked by a masked woman.
oh my god.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
I don't know what was okay.
That was love.
Ah,
Love in its.
it is pure form. So okay, going back to what I was saying. Um, so sometimes we're like, okay, I always meet the wrong person. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So there are a lot of wrong people around. The problem is that you are focusing on the wrong person for a long periods of time
Mhm.
because it's a big world. You're going to meet a lot of people and you decide to keep these people in your life or not. So when you meet the wrong person, just say bye bye as soon as fast as you can, and then you can move on and spend your time trying to find the other person.
Mhm. It's true.
That's what I wanted to say.
Uh, I didn't imagine to be laughing this hard during our podcast, but it always happens.
Yeah, it's true. We always like, okay, let's talk about love and
I still feel bad
relationship.
about laughing about the buckles and the whip.
You feel bad? Don't feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad. It was just funny.
It's okay. I'm trying to see if I forgot about something.
I think I mentioned everything that I wanted to say.
I just want to say one more thing,
Go
and
ahead,
I'm
please.
done. I'm on fire today. I should start writing the book today. No, it's a joke. I'm
Yes,
not
you
starting.
should. Yes, you should. Quit putting it off to June. May is the month.
June.
Listen, when we June is Cancer. Okay, that's very emotional. So when Cancer
Well, that's the
starts,
perfect time. I'm gonna write. I'm gonna cry
oh,
over it. You know what's gonna happen when I start writing that book. That's why I'm trying to, postpone it. Um, what was I going to say? Okay, people, healing process. Remember, don't go. Okay, we spoke about trying to figure out what happened and everything.
mhm,
Don't just dwell in the past.
mhm,
After that, or while you're doing that, take action. Do small
yes,
exercises. I don't want you to be like navigating into this in the past thing. The purpose of this is to look the past in the eyes, see where it is the problem, and then act on it. Take action.
exactly,
And if you
exactly.
need help, we're
Live in the
here.
present. Exactly. Yes, we are. So
Yes,
please,
we
like,
are.
we love hearing from our audience. We love your comments. If you feel called, please share a story of where anything that has happened to you that we discussed today. We would love to hear it.
Yeah. Just write down if you need help on something, just write down, just write your story and we'll try to give you some insight. I would love to do this for someone.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it for today, everybody.
Yes, it is. I think
Okay.
so too.
Okay. Like always, we're going to put our email over here.
Yes, we are.
And if you would like to support us, if you like this episode, remember, subscribe, activate the notification thingy, write a comment, share with people, all that stuff that people do when they want to support
Exactly.
something. That's it,
Thank you
yeah?
so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, everybody.
This is a real bye.
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 Love you, don't cry for me, Argentina. Okay. I'm so
Good
sorry.
one. I wasn't expecting that.
Me neither. I'm just being authentic, you know what I mean?